couple of former advisors, attorneys for Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani and Michael Cohen, they found themselves in the same random swanky restaurant in New York City. And they ended up sitting right next to each other. Amazing how that happens. Now, they did say the staff was trying to keep this from happening, but of course they couldn't. But if they did get to see each other and get close to each other, I feel like this is about how it may go down. Watch this.
He's nervous. There's no doubt that he's nervous.
Because unlike these people who want to just believe him, I believe Michael Cohen is a serial liar. If you can figure out when Michael Cohen's telling the truth, you're better than I am, Jake.
Rudy drinks too much. Rudy behaves in such an erratic manner that who knows what's on those telephones or what's on his computers.
They bought a totally phony story.
First of all, you have to understand, there really is no relationship, nor has there ever been, between Rudy and Donald.
They weren't going to buy it unless they got some phony stuff about federal agents, and then they went with it.
Look, he's been involved in some very, very shady stuff. And now all of it is going to come out.
But he's pleading guilty to get a reduced sentence, which means he's saying what the prosecutor wants him to say.
But you just acknowledged that President Trump might have talked to him about his testimony.
Prior to Donald becoming president, Rudy didn't like Donald, and Donald certainly didn't like Rudy. So do I think Rudy will give up Donald in a heartbeat? Absolutely.
It's almost like they're a couple of kids fighting over dad's attention, but they do have beef with each other, even though they both helped Donald Trump get to where he is, which I guess was the presidency, before they started to figure things out. But maybe Rudy Giuliani has found a way to potentially be that next guy. He is still holding tight while Michael Cohen just isn't involved anymore. Let's take a look at what actually happened in this restaurant altercation. Not altercation. Maybe it was, we'll see. So the dueling former personal attorneys for the ex-president were both at a buzzy restaurant, which was called Fresco.
Ooh.
It's by Scotto on Thursday night. Sources at the power broker spot said restaurant managers had planned to seat the awkward duo at separate sides of the restaurant so they wouldn't have fights like that, but the plan went terribly awry. A source told us before they arrived, other VIPs snagged their planned tables, and ultimately the two Trump-connected figures ended up with neighboring table. So a couple of eyewitnesses also talked about some of the things that they saw, which wasn't a lot of interaction. Let's look at this here. He said there was zero interaction between them. And when ex-NYC Comptroller Bill Thompson walked in, he went over to say hello to the former mayor. A second source said Cohen then went around the restaurant shaking hands with the other diners while giving Rudy a wide berth. It was so icy between the pair, it seemed like hell had finally frozen over. One guest at a nearby table was overheard saying, "I feel like I'm in the middle of a boxing ring before the match is about to start. You can feel the tension in the air." It's from page 6. And also continuing on, while Cohen, who calls Giuliani dopey Rudy, declined to comment, other sources said that he did the rounds at the restaurant, shaking hands with fellow diners. He made a point of avoiding the former New York mayor. And meanwhile, Giuliani sat there stone-faced at a table of friends, with what was left of his hair dye trickling down his brow. Now, I don't know if that was really happening, you guys. That's an eyewitness account who probably doesn't have many positive things to say about Rudy, but I would have loved to have been like awkward situations like this. They're underrated, Francesca. I feel like if you're in a restaurant like that and you see these two guys, it's swanky, it's buzzy. I'm not sure which one is the better term, but it's definitely bougie. And the other VIPs took your tables. Apparently you have to see face to face eventually.
Well, that's kind of the best part of this story, that like I've been a host at a restaurant before, and like, yeah, you try to maintain your reservations, but then De Niro walks in, and not in my case, but like, in my dreams. But like, I love the idea that it was like, ooh, we had the VIP, but it turns out being a lawyer for Donald Trump, not that special. Oh, right this way, Mr. De Niro. And like other more important people took their spot, so they were just left in the corner together to duke it out in some weird political cockfight. Like, that's so funny. I love that. And
I want to know which two folks took their seats too, honestly, which VIPs.
Yeah. I don't know. It was like Spike Lee. I'm just trying to think of New York people. Spike Lee. That's the only.
But are you familiar with this place? I feel like people know New York spots.
I don't leave my home. Are you kidding me? I know the 5 places within delivery distance from my house. I wish I was fancy or had money like that, but I don't. But I do think that this is, let me just say, I don't know how you feel, Jayar. I'm Team Cohen so hard. He's the only former Trumper's book who I've thought about purchasing, but of course I didn't because I have self-respect. But like I Because he's the only guy who actually did flip on the president, and he speaks with like the levity of someone who's unburdened all of the crimes they did for Trump, and no one else has done that. And mind you, he did the crimes for Trump, and we're still arguing as to whether he's the bad guy or Trump's the bad guy. It's so hilarious to me that MAGA folks don't almost just not screwed on it tight enough. You know what I mean? Just someone
it's
left
whatever fits
the jar ajar.
That particular moment at that point. Yeah, now they're mad at Cohen, and Cohen was the best guy ever. But then he worked for Donald Trump. That liar. I think Rudy at one point called him a liar and everything. I can't believe he's a criminal. It's like a couple bank robbers, and they turn on each other and they go, "How are you gonna believe that guy? He's a bank robber." Yeah, bro, exactly. That's why he's turning on you. But hopefully they'll run into each other, maybe at Baskin Robbins for dessert. We'll get some more. It's even tighter in there. Maybe they'll have to actually talk to each other. I love these types of things. Maybe if someone got some kind of video, they can shoot it through us. And someone had to film that. Come on, let's keep it real.